Hi, and thanks for joining me here for Storytime Extra today. Here's a very extra special episode for you today. This was recorded last summer during United Beach Mission's online programming. I hope you enjoy this story. Hi, welcome back to the Beach Hut. My name's Paul and I love stories. And today I brought my storybooks with me to help me tell my story. And all you need to do is to shout out what you see on the card. Is that okay? Brilliant. Let's go. One day, in the days of the Bible, Jesus was with his friends, the disciples, and they were gathered together, and suddenly a big, large group came together, and everyone had their questions. They had questions like, Jesus, what is heaven like? And questions like, Jesus, how can someone go to heaven? You see, people have questions even today. So, to help them understand a bit more, Jesus told them a story. It's a story that you can find in the Bible even today. Let me tell you all about it. Jesus told a story about a man who must have been to the most extraordinary of places, must have seen the most extraordinary of things, and must have met the most extraordinary of people, because, see, he was a collector. Now, the Bible doesn't actually tell us what he collected, but I imagine he would have been a collector of stamps. See, I imagine he would have had a book full of stamps from every country in the world. You see, I imagine his stamp collection was pretty big indeed. The other thing I imagine he would have collected is books. Fat books, thin books, short books, big books, storybooks, children's books. I imagine his house would have been full of books. And I imagine he would have been a collector of antiques. Antiques, perhaps you find them in your grandparents' house. But you see, these antiques were really, really special. But you see, the collector did have a problem. You see, he couldn't have just one antique in his house. He couldn't have just one book in the series, and he couldn't have just one stamp in his collection. You see, he always wanted one more. You see, it wasn't good enough just to have one in the series. He always had to have one more. And you know, it's really funny, but in the Bible it tells us that we're all a little bit like that sometimes. We all desperately want one more. But there's someone who can fill our lives forever. One day, the collector must have had a day off from collecting all those stamps and all those books and all those antiques. And to be honest, from collecting one more thing, he had a day off. And as he travelled along the way, he stopped and he looked. There was a field nearby with a great big tree in it. And this great big tree was so extraordinary, he couldn't help but notice. But as he crept closer, he dug inside. And as he started to dig, he could see something. And as he picked the something out of the ground, he lifted up the lid and he couldn't quite believe it. It was a beautiful pearl. A pearl like nothing he'd seen before. A real life proper treasure, something that he'd never seen before. He couldn't wait to have it, but then he realised something. He realised that this field was for sale. That means that someone else is willing to sell it off to someone else. So he thought about it. He thought about the for sale sign with the field with a great big tree in it, and yet all he could think about was owning this treasure chest with the great big pearl inside. So he went to ask the man how much it was for the field with the great big tree in it. And the man showed him the price tag. Now, boys and girls, I'm not going to tell you how much it was. There are so many noughts at the end of this price tag. I think it might make some of the parents cry. But it was everything that the collector wanted. It tells us in the Bible the exact same thing. It tells us in the Bible that that's what Jesus came to do. He came to die on a cross and to come back to life again. He came to give up everything, so that no matter what we've said or done, when we pray and say sorry to Jesus, even today, we can be friends with him now and forever in his home in heaven. So the collector decided that's exactly what he was going to do as well. He was going to give everything away so he could have that field. So he got out his special shopping bag and he did exactly that. And I imagine he made sure there was nothing inside his shopping bag because it was time to get rid of everything he owned. Now, to help me, I want you to shout "gone" when you see all these items. So he decided to say goodbye to his stamps. And he put it inside the bag and he shouted, "Gone." Then it was time for his books. Books of all shapes and sizes. It was time to say, "Gone" to that as well. And then it was time for his collection of antiques. Antiques of all shapes and sizes. It was time to say, "Gone." And he put them in the bag and he got rid of everything he owed. And the most amazing thing happened. He got rid of everything he owned, and finally it was all his. The field with the great big tree in it, and the treasure, the pearl that had cost him so much, and now it was his. Reminds me, because in the Bible that's exactly what Jesus did. He gave up everything he had by dying on a cross and coming back to life again. So no matter what we've said or done, when we pray to this God and ask him to take away all the wrong things that we've done, he does. And he comes to live in our hearts by his Spirit so that we can be friends with him now and forever in his home in heaven. And that story is called the Parable of the Great Pearl. And it tells us that Jesus gave up everything he had so that we can be friends with him now and forever in his home in heaven. Thank you so much for joining me in the Beach Hut. I loved telling all these amazing stories about how Jesus can change people's lives even today. And if you want to come and find out more, whether you're a boy or a girl or a mum and a dad, we'd love you to get in touch with us. Head over to the Beach Team website where you can find out more about how Jesus can change your life forever. And why not sign up to the Postal Bible Club this year as well. Thanks for joining me today, and thank you to United Beach Mission for their kind permission to use that story again. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to find out more, please do have a look around on our YouTube channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.